Hi there, Perk13 and another episode of Time to Perk. Today I'm extremely excited. I'm really excited about this. I received in the mail the newest edition of what is being called the Mojo Pot Stand or Mojo Stove. And it's designed in a similar fashion to Westwind stove, which we've reviewed in the past. And but it's got several key features. It too is designed to support the Trangia alcohol burner primarily, and as you can see, it's pretty small, fits in a sandwich bag for easy storage, and it consists of 3 identical pieces of aluminum, aircraft grade I believe, brushed finish, very attractive, precisely machined, and basically clips together in the same way to make a triangle style pot stand. Very similar to the Westwind. In fact, they are almost identical in height. Now you can see a little bit better that the heights are almost identical. The Westwind stove is about a 1/16 of an inch taller, very inconsequential to performance. However, what I'm very interested to find out about this new stove is the way that it mounts the Trangia burner. As you can see on the Westwind, and this is my modified Westwind stove, which is a good 1/2 of an inch lower than the stock model. You can see that in a previous video and the modifications I made there. But the new Mojo stove is significantly lower still than my modified version. I had planned to take another 1/8 of an inch off of the Westwind and test it again, but I'm starting to eat into this very thin area and I didn't want to compromise the structural integrity. But as you can see, this design has that already built in with extra gussets here. You can see the triangle shape of the stove is very similar. I did notice that well, I noticed I'm getting off on a little bit of a tangent, but the pot is a lot more stable on the new stove than the previous, simply due to the number of fingers here. The Westwind would only have 3 points in contact with the pot, where the Mojo would have double that. But back to the burner. The burner height makes a huge difference, as we found in the previous tests, for overall efficiency. And with as low as that burner sits, with only about a 3/30 seconds or maybe an 1/8 of an inch of gap between the burner and the ground, gives a maximum height here for the flame to coalesce and spread out evenly on the bottom of the pot, which, as we've seen, drastically reduces the boil times and increases the efficiency of the burn or the heat transfer to the pot and thus the water. So I'm very excited about this to see what the performance will be like. I suspect that this new stove is actually going to be just as fast or faster than the inverted Westwind version that we tested previously. It's also probably important to note that the weights of these 2 items. This is, again, the modified version of the Westwind. I've cut these holes out and reduced a lot of material here, so this is actually a lighter weight than what would normally be represented with a stock model. And it weighs in at 2.3 ounces. And the Mojo, I suspect with all the lightning holes and the extra cutouts, is going to even weigh less. So, yeah, it is. 2.19 ounces, call it 2.2 for rounding's sake. As far as physical size, almost identical in height and width dimensions. So a couple of bonuses already, and we haven't even gotten to the performance. It's also important to note that with this large cutout area, the simmer ring has full authority. It's extremely easy to get in there. Matter of fact, even with a pot on, it's extremely easy. You have lots of room here. So I'm very impressed with the access, the simmer ring. So let's get to cooking. Okay, let's do a 16-ounce time to perk test, and as before, we're starting off with a 2/3 full with methanol or methyl alcohol Trangia stove at room temperature, ambience 70 degrees as usual. We have 16 measured ounces, 2 cups in the percolator. We're going to wait for this to blossom, and then we'll start the timer. Okay, we've got a good blossom going, so we'll put the 16 ounces on and start the timer. Here you can see the burner. It's got a nice coalesced flame to the bottom of the pot, not a lot of spillage. Yeah, I think we're going to have a winner. We're only 30 seconds in. Okay, right at 3 minutes and starting to make boiling noises, which is good. Again, our criteria is looking for 2 full perks all the way to the top of the window in rapid succession. Alright, now we're starting to see some percolation. There's 1 and there's 2. Okay, 5 minutes and 26 seconds. We're going to put the simmer ring on to turn that down to a slow simmer, as if I was really making some coffee. Working very nicely. As a reminder, that beats the reversed Westwind stove time. The stock Westwind upside down was 5 minutes and 27 seconds, so virtually the same, but it does beat it by 1 second. It's substantially faster than my modified Westwind stove at 16 ounces was 6 minutes and 20 seconds, which was a good improvement over the standard Westwind. Did not perform as well as the upside down. It was a compromise, but since that burner height had been lowered to 1 5/8 inches here instead of 1 1/4 here, we get a little bit better transfer, little better flame and heat transfer to the water in the pot, and we get an increased efficiency. And since this burner height is almost identical to the upside down Westwind stove, only by about 1/16 of an inch different, I would imagine the two would be very similar. And they were, shockingly. There's physics for you right there. Yeah, as you can see, we are perking slowly. We have the simmer ring employed there with a very small flame just to keep the perk going. And again, it was very easy to put that in, adjust it, get the flame exactly the way you want it. Okay, our time for the reversed Westwind at 32 ounces was 8 minutes and 51 seconds. So we're going to let this blossom, get going a little bit. And we've got a measured 32 ounces, 4 full cups in the percolator. So we're going to put this on and measure it and see what we get. I bet you it's going to be very close to that 851, provided physics is still working here today. But we'll find out shortly. Let me give you a look at the flame. So we have just the slightest amount of licking on one side. Probably because I don't have the pot perfectly centered. You can see the flame there is looking really good. The pot's making all kinds of noise. Okay, coming up on 8 minutes 45 seconds, and we've got our first perk. We may beat it. Looking for 2 in a row. There's water coming out, but it hasn't hit the top. That's 1, and that's 2. Very, very close. 8 minutes and 58 seconds for the full perk. And as you know, the perk is not exactly a timekeeping device, so I'd say that one is close enough to be equal, given that's a whole 8 minutes, almost 9-minute burn time. So again, we're going to put adjusted the simmer ring to a very, very low setting, just to keep that perk going. We're going to just easily lay that in there, and I didn't do that so easily. Put out my flame. So we got that going now. This will start to die down a little bit and continue to perk. And that would continue on for a perfect pot of coffee. Okay, there you have it. The Mojo Pot Stand for the Trangia burner. I guess my conclusion is that I now have a new favorite for a dedicated Trangia burner stove. I tell you, this thing is high performance. Packs flat, lightweight, did I say high performance twice? Because I mean it. I tell you, you get a lot for your money. Mojo Pot Stand, eBay. I think it was $14.95. I mean, what a deal. My new favorite Trangia stove. Happy camping.